Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Oxnard Finance and Governance Committee. Oh, she's working her way back. Thank you, Councilwoman. Just wait for the interpreter. She's setting up back there. Okay, I think she's ready. Thank you. Just want to welcome everyone and bring the meeting to order for the Oxnard Finance and Governance Committee for October 28th, 2025. Madam Clerk, may we have the roll call and posting of the agenda, please?
Committee Member Rodriguez,
Here.
Committee Member Starr,
Here.
Chair MacArthur.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted in the kiosk at City Hall, the Oxnard Public Library, the city administrative offices, and on the city's website on Tuesday, October 21st. Thank you.
Thank you. I could just have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. You can just repeat after me. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. We'll go to our first item on the agenda. This is for public comments on items not on the agenda and for non-action items. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers for this item?
Chair MacArthur and committee members, we do not have any public speakers in person or virtually for items not on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll next move to the consent agenda. And the only item I see here is the approval of the minutes for the September 23rd and October 14th, 2025 Finance and Governance Committee. Madam Clerk, do we have any announcements on this?
Yes, thank you, Chair MacArthur and committee members. I have a minor change to the Finance and Governance minutes of September 23rd, 2025. On page 6, under E, items for future agenda, I'm requesting, the change would be that the minutes reflect Member Starr requested an update on 1, food vendors at the corner of Rose Avenue and Gonzalez Road blocking the sidewalks, and whether the city could vacate ownership of the sidewalk to the adjoining shopping center to allow enforcement of trespassing laws, and 2, public nuisance animal ordinance, and whether the ordinance could be updated to require only 1 noise complaint. And Chair MacArthur and committee members, that's my only change to the minutes for September 23rd.
Thank you. Do any members have any questions or comments? No. Any public speakers on this item?
And Chair MacArthur and committee members, we do not have any public speakers in person or virtually for the information and consent agenda.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the committee members on this item?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second that motion.
Madam Clerk, call for the vote.
Committee member Starr,
Yes.
committee member Rodriguez,
Aye.
Chair MacArthur,
Yes.
and this motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll next move to item D1. This is from the IT department. Subject involves the First Amendment to Hire Cloud Inc. Professional Services Agreement for IT Recruitment Services. The recommended action is that the Finance and Governance Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute a First Amendment to Professional Services Agreement number 326-00052 with Hire Cloud Inc. in the amount of $1,130,000 for a new, not to exceed agreement value of $1,350,000, and extend the agreement term to June 30th, 2027 for IT, the contractor and recruitment services. And I see Mr. Rubin is here, our Chief Information Officer, to answer any questions we may have. Before committee member discussion, Madam Clerk, are there any public speakers on this item?
And Chair MacArthur and committee members, we do not have any public speakers in person or virtually for this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Any committee members have any questions of Mr. Rubin? Go ahead, Councilmember.
Thank you. I know at least where I work, finding good IT people has been a challenge for us, and I understand that that's the same for the city of Oxnard. I was just wondering if you can kind of elaborate what your experience has been and like how many positions do you have unfilled at this time that you're trying to fill and that sort.
Good evening, or afternoon for that. Mayor, council members, Rob Rubin, CIO for City of Oxnard. It is a challenge. It's a nationwide challenge. Remote working has made it very weird in both looking for jobs as well as finding them. because a lot of organizations are strictly that, and it's, as a candidate looking for work, it could be very disorienting because literally thousands of people might apply to a job that typically only dozens would. On the other side of that, which the hiring side of it, the remote work can be a challenge here. Certainly, it makes it so that we do have, I'd say, a smaller pool to pull from. But that's not exclusively our challenges, to be honest with you. Where we physically are geographically, Oxnard is not adjacent really to like the San Fernando Valley or downtown Los Angeles. We have people that commute pretty far for IT to work here, but it is a challenge to get folks literally on site. That said, these recruiters have been able to find people that are well qualified and not necessarily looking for a government job, which is kind of interesting in that a number of the folks that have been hired into IT in the last several years don't have a lot of municipal experience and weren't looking on governmentjobs.org and things like that. And so these recruiters have been able to find them in their corporate America jobs or other types of industries. And in the areas that we don't require significant municipal experience, we've been able to pull some really high-end candidates into this organization. So that's been a huge find, but it's not something that would have been feasible in a passive type search where you're just expecting the candidates to go find you.
Right.
These two recruiting agencies have been really instrumental. The other comment I'll say might sound familiar because I said something similar at F&G for when we were talking about computer equipment. I brought two different vendors tonight. One of them is going to run out of money sooner than the other as it currently is. But rather than come to you individually, I just like to do it together because you see the whole picture this way. I've been asked in the past, like, why do we have two vendors instead of just one or five? We found that a little competitive angle keeps them hungry. And if we have too many, we don't have a lot of jobs that we're hiring for. You asked how many positions we have open. We have 5 right now that are open.
Okay.
One is in final background. For many of our IT positions require polygraph through the police. And so he's in the final stages of the background. So that should leave us with 4 openings. 4 or 5, I'd have to double check. We either have 5 now or we will have 5.
That's
so,
okay. I'm not looking for precision.
Yeah, but that's. So we aren't hiring hundreds of candidates. So having 5 different recruiting agencies like I had at the last place I was at kept them all hungry because they all had a fighting chance at a lot of jobs. If I have too many recruiting agencies, the juice won't be worth the squeeze for them. They won't put all the effort in because their odds of getting the candidate here aren't good enough.
Right.
So we found that for the size of organization we are, getting 2 good ones, because they have to be good, has been kind of the happy number that's kept them each competitive and hungry and able to produce really solid candidates for us.
Great. And I know some of this is for contractors as opposed to hired staff. I was just wondering for the public's benefit, if you can state what are the conditions where you use a contractor instead of hired staff? And
there's several scenarios that I would use contractors, and contractors are a form of staffing. Full-time equivalents are a form of staffing. For the contractors, we refer to that as like staff augmentation. So you're bringing in temporary help to either, in some cases, we use it because we need more cowbell, we need more of something, but not forever. Right. We just need it now. In other cases, we use that because we have some old legacy software or equipment. It's not a skill set we want to hire for permanent going forward, so we're sort of hiring forward for our full-times, but sort of still have to backfill some skills that aren't strategic for us but are required. So that would be another case that we would do it. And then frankly, when I first started here a couple years ago, there was a number of positions that the city had never had in their IT department, and I needed to experiment, frankly, to see what would work. And so we had never had a project manager before inside of IT, or a business analyst, or a database administrator, or portfolio management and functions of business relationship management and that kind of thing. There was a number of functions the IT department had never had. And I had to be able to assess the culture. So some of it was we just needed to try some things out to see what was going to work and what was going to stick. And also the other thing that's kind of interesting, and it's not something I would have expected, but did get to experience and react to, is that not all, it makes sense, but it really came home here. Not all candidates are a great fit for the city.
Right.
The example would be, the question I would have is, what's a faster car, an F1 Formula or a Toyota Tundra 4x4? The answer is, depends on the road, right? So here, if we get a race car and it's all off-roading, meaning we don't have the processes in place, we don't have things that allow someone who's really high performer but can only go fast, and they can't help us build. They can't get out of the truck and chop down some of the trees and then get back in and keep us going. Then it isn't a good fit for us, and it'll just frustrate them. So that's another time that I'll say back a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, use some contractors in that context as well.
Okay. And just for my edification, do you have sort of a sense of what the range in hourly costs are for contractors versus hired staff?
For like hourly, equivalents, it's usually, the contractors that we get are somewhere between 90 and 125 an hour.
Okay.
And their equivalent salary without the benefits, I'd have to do the math to add the 30% for benefits, but the salary might be in an equivalent position, 60 to 75, and then adding some, so maybe 55 to 75, and then adding 30% onto that.
So I'm sorry, so 55, 75 for the contractors or for the?
For a full-time salary divided by 2,080 hours, and then we'd have to add in 30% roughly for the benefits that they don't get when they're not an employee.
And the folks that you have as contractors, as I recall the figures there was an 18%, I think, addition for overhead plus another, I think, $25 an hour. Is that what it works?
I believe that's the number for,
Yeah, I think that's on page 9 of the staff report.
Yep.
And we've been working with this vendor since August 2023, and I saw that the original contract for $220,000 that you're seeking to amend today was entered on September 18th, really recently, and it's expected to end on June 30th. And
Sorry, you said September, can you say that
September
part?
18th. If I look at the actual contract itself, let me take a look at that. Let me make sure I'm not talking out of school.
No, you're right.
That was the one recently?
Yeah, so this was put in September 18th, and I know we're coming back here to extend the contract for a year to 2027 with a $1,130,000 increase. And I'm just thinking, what do we know today that we didn't know 6 weeks ago? Because that's just a really huge jump to amend a contract so soon.
Yep. So the September 18th was the signed contract date. But that's a vendor we've worked with prior. And so the effective date really should have been 7/1. And we had some problems getting the contract through because we were unifying. The reason why I'm also coming with both of these vendors at the same time is we've unified the contract so the terms are exactly the same. It used to be that one had a slightly different rate than the other, and that just caused a bunch of confusion. So having the ability to have the exact same contract is what we started this fiscal year with. But in the case of HireCloud, they had some issue with, I believe it was a local business license, or there's something I'd have to look at. I can get the answer for that.
Okay.
But there was a delay in getting that signed.
Right, it just seemed odd to me that even if you had July.
Yes, so let me answer the question in
Yeah.
the other context, is I wanted to first at least explain the July 1st to September 18th piece.
Right.
So in our major initiative to do infrastructure modernization, which is also our cybersecurity remediation, we've tried a number of different approaches to get velocity. Back in April, when we were working on the budget for this coming year and through the cycle to get to the beginning of the fiscal year, we still weren't sure which way we were going to go. in terms of, are we going to be able to get velocity by adding contractors? Or we had a couple of key positions that we've been trying to hire for as well. We finally found one and they started literally 2 weeks ago. But there's a couple of foundational positions that have just been difficult for us to find FTEs for. That's necessitated for us to sort of advance a little bit more on the contractor side.
Okay.
And then when I decided, yes, we're going to need to add some more money, I want to get both of these vendors in and extend the terms so that you guys have visibility as to what this is going to look like sort of over the next 2 years, or at least what we expect it to look like over the next 2 years. Sure. So it was really trying to take a more forward view of it rather than kind of bit by bit.
And that's fine if you've changed your assessment as far as what your needs are. I think what would be helpful for future reports is when you see something like that where it's a sudden increase, especially from something that was just recently done.
Yeah.
It's helpful to us as council members to have a better understanding of what your thought process is.
Totally makes sense. Thank you. No, I appreciate that
Okay.
question.
And I think that's one last thing on,
I had a question if
yeah,
you.
I think I'm done. I've got
No, it's just, I was looking at the proposals that you are sharing with the contractor and recruiting, and is the expectation that we wouldn't need this many services by 27, by fiscal year 27, or I'm trying to understand like the drop from 688, 536 to 540, and then I saw the trend on both sides, so from 80K.
Well, the trend on the other one goes up. So what that looks like is today, if I'd have to see them both
No
sort of
worries,
at the
I think
same
it's page
time.
9.
But today, Higher Cloud has actually just placed more people recently. So contractors that are here are through, they have 3 that are here through them and 1 through Core 1. So the costs that look like they're going up for Core 1 is for future years. We really don't know. We sort of expect almost a coin flip. It hasn't been that way in the last year or so, but that's why one looks like it's going up and one looks like it's going down, because we really don't know the future, like which one's going to place more.
I
So
know,
we sort of assumed the same.
That, I know, because it says expected on both fiscal year 26 and 27, but in looking at historically 24, 25, 26, it seems pretty, there's a range from 73 to 80. And so the fiscal year projection would be half of that. I was
Oh,
just
okay,
trying
you're
to
talking about on
understand.
the recruiting line? for
Yeah,
High
like,
Cloud?
well,
Yeah, yeah.
recruiting and then contractor as well. So I saw both. The trend would be if we're stabled up here and then suddenly there's a drop, is the expectation that we wouldn't need these services because we're in a better place? We have a more robust team now? Or I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, so as we fill the positions, we won't need to recruit
Okay.
them. So
Yeah, well,
exactly that, yeah.
That would be the goal.
On the
Because
recruitment side, on the contractor side, a lot of that depends on budget for the future years. We're assuming sort of a flat budget so that we're not trying to assume that all of a sudden we're gonna get a windfall of additional funds. That this year's fiscal budget and next year would, for us, for IT, we're assuming in terms of this would be relatively flat. And that we'd have less dependence on some of the external full-time recruitment because we'd fill, attract and retain, and retain is the emphasis on the staff that we need.
Okay, just because in order to project the future, I'm looking at the past and I'm looking at increase from 621 to 691. So I really don't understand how we could fall back to 580. As like, maybe it's just wishful thinking.
Give me a second
And I think I saw it on both this item and the next item.
Okay, so give me a second, I will get to
What
the,
I'm hearing maybe is that it's a placeholder for now.
page 9.
yeah, so,
That's right there.
let's find page,
Yeah, page 9 of the staff report has those trends.
Or have we had these open seats for several years?
yeah,
And maybe-
are you looking at the
looking
staff
at page-
report or the presentation?
No, the IT recruitment and contractor support, part of the staff report,
Page 9.
Okay. Well, I've got it all here, but my numbering might be different than yours, okay.
I'm sorry, and
No,
I
that's
shouldn't.
okay.
Right.
I know the goal is that we do get folks in place and we won't spend so much money on recruiting or on additional support.
Okay, so now I'm on the same page
Okay,
with you.
great. Sorry.
Let's go for the question one
I'm
more
just
time.
throwing
see
all
if we
these
can get a better
questions out
answer.
there. So looking at fiscal year 24 and 25, I see the trend, right? It seems pretty stable, but it goes from 621 to 691 bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
But then on fiscal year 27, we're back at 580. And I know the goal would be we find the right staff and we're set. Is that the logic there?
580, were you saying?
Fiscal year 27 expected, so it's 540 plus 40K,
got
a
it,
total
yeah,
of
yeah.
580?
Yeah, again, that is assuming that we are, first of all, we do a little bit less recruiting, and that the offsets from the other vendor sort of even
Okay.
out between the two vendors, because again, we don't want to assume that the rate that I'm looking at these together, because it's really, these recruiters are actually, you never know which one's gonna get, like, the next three guys in a row might be coming from a single vendor. So that's the reason that looks like it's leveling off, but if you look at the
At the next item.
core one, yeah,
Yeah.
in context.
Okay.
And I didn't want to conflate the two things, but you can see on the core one, how those numbers are lower and they start to go up. It's just because the future is almost a coin toss between the two.
Yeah,
right?
okay. I'm just asking because I think in a year from now, we might have to come back and make another amendment. And it might look similar to what we've seen in the past, but those are my only comments and I'll give it back. Did you find your question?
Yeah, I did, actually.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate your clarification.
But I guess really in the future, that's not like you do recruiting once and you're done, because eventually people leave, they go elsewhere, and you have to replace them. So it's kind of an ongoing cost, I would expect. I do want to point out something for everybody's understanding here on page 29, something that I see that I really like. Let me just. So I like the fact that when you're converting a contractor to permanent employment, that you've got the conversion fee rate dropping over time as we have more hours in, because my assumption is that the recruiter knows that they're getting that extra, they're already getting that $25 per hour, and scaling it down where the conversion rate becomes free after 960 hours makes a lot of sense. We do something similar to that where we are, with my employer.
Yep.
So really glad to see that, whether it's you or the HR department that's actually behind the negotiations. I just wanted to say that that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
And just.
And we've leveraged that too, by the way. 5 of our staff were converted. So it's not just on the paper. When we find the right person as a contractor and the right opening happens over their tenure here, then we've been able to execute on that. And that's certainly saved the city money in terms of the recruitment costs too, because they've sort of offset from the contractor fees that were paid.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, any public speakers on this item?
Chair MacArthur and committee members, we do not have any public speakers in person or virtually for this item.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of committee on this item?
I move to adopt.
I second that.
Call for the vote?
Committee member Rodriguez,
Aye.
committee member Starr,
Yes.
Chair MacArthur,
Yes,
and this motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
thank you. We'll move now to item D2 from the IT Department. First Amendment to Core 1 LLC Professional Services Agreement for IT Recruitment Services. The recommended actions of the Finance and Governments Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute a First Amendment to Professional Services Agreement number 326-00051 with Core 1 LLC in the amount of $680,000 for a new not to exceed agreement value of $900,000, and extend the agreement from the term to June 30, 2027 for IT contractor and recruitment services. I know we talked a little bit about this already, but Director Rubin is here to answer any questions anyone may have. Before we make comments or questions, Madam Clerk, are there any public speakers on this item?
And Chair MacArthur and committee members, we do not have any public speakers for this item in person or virtually. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the committee? Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, just, I was just curious whether this particular recruiter, I realize you're using multiple recruiters. I was just wondering if you could let us know if you feel that some recruiters have areas of strength versus others, and as far as the types of candidates they're able to recruit for us, like position-wise, or is it just a matter of we just have multiple people?
They can. I think these particular recruiters in question here are pretty equally strong.
Okay.
There are certainly specialty ones that are better at, let's say, management recruitment and that kind of thing, but We haven't really seen a big difference between them. Higher Cloud's been a little bit on a roll lately, which is why their numbers are up a little bit higher. But each time we go out to recruitment, we are getting quality candidates from both. And I really haven't noticed, oh, these guys are better at programmers than these guys. I think they have a broad network, and having two of them sort of makes it a little bit broader in terms of their contacts and their ability to find candidates. But there is even some overlap that occasionally they'll touch somebody that the other one had already seen, and so we have to track for that.
Right. And similar to the previous item, I did notice that we entered into an agreement in August and for $220,000, and we're expanding it by $780,000. So I assume for the same rationale that you're increasing it here.
Exactly the same idea. It's just at a little bit slower rate in this particular case because we haven't had the spend with them yet.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to thank you for bringing these two together because it does, my question was answered with looking at both of them side by side. Thank you so much.
I just think, I hope it's helpful. If it isn't, give me the feedback that it's actually not helpful, but my thought is if I were in your shoes, I'd want to see kind of both
The
sets
bigger
of cards at the same time and an explanation as to sort of why one, the other, or both, or whatever.
That's a smart move.
Thank you.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. What's the pleasure?
I move the recommended action.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, call for the vote.
Committee Member Starr,
Yes.
Committee Member Rodriguez,
Aye.
Chair MacArthur,
Yes,
and this motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
thank you. We will move to item D3 from the IT Department, subject purchasing authorization, Frontier Communications. The recommended action that the Finance and Governance Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Frontier Communications, agreement number 326-00201, for 3 years with a not-to-exceed amount of $524,605 for telephone services for the city, to the city of Oxnard. And Mr. Rubin is here, our Chief Information Officer. Are there any public speakers on this item?
Chair MacArthur and committee members, we do not have any public speakers in person or virtually for this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Any committee members have any comments or questions?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Aaron.
So I had to look up actually the term POTS because I hadn't seen that.
Oh, I was going to quiz you guys with it, put your cell phones down, do you know what it stands for?
That is a plain old telephone
It's a
service.
total nerd speak,
So,
isn't
okay,
it?
absolutely, just
Rob,
really-
Rob, you couldn't have quizzed him because after you submitted it, I actually put it in the staff report because I didn't know either. So he stumped me on that, so I had to look it up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I apologize, that's
No, that's
not-
okay. I was
Should have,
amused.
but the problem is that the acronym is so lame.
Yeah,
Plain
it
old
is.
telephone service.
Right, so this is a traditional analog line, copper wiring,
correct.
hooked up to the phone company. So I guess my question is, maybe it's more about the future, because we have 265 of these phone lines.
Yep.
And I can understand needing a POTS, a plain old telephone service for like elevator emergency phones, security alarms, point of sale terminals where maybe internet connectivity might not be always available. But I was wondering if we were thinking, or if we're thinking about in the future about using, to the extent possible, more VoIP, since, it typically has lower costs, at least that's been our experience, and it has some advanced features like, voicemail to email and virtual numbers, video conferencing, that sort of thing. So I'm wondering, where do you see this going? Do we really need 265 phone lines, plain old telephone service? Are we just doing this contract right now because it's immediately coming up, but we have to deal with it now? Or what's the plan?
Great question, thank you for that. So the city, the large buildings and the main buildings of the city are voice over IP, right? So they are digital service. There's a lot, the city's wide and sprawling, and there's a lot of other facilities that aren't on that main system that use these analog lines either as additional lines as failover, or in some of the smaller cases of like senior centers, they're going to have phone lines that are just analog lines. And then, of course, we've got a few dozen in alarms and elevators as well, as you made mention. So that's kind of where it is right now. We got roughly a little over 100 that are in analog lines for phone service, and then the rest of them are sort of spread out across all those different miscellaneous alarms and elevators and that kind of thing. I actually did bring some numbers if you're interested. Let's jump into that. So
I am, thank you.
yeah, so we have a few lines that we use for access control systems, so these might be badge readers or things like that that need an additional way to control them or to override them. Alarm systems, so like 55 of them are for alarm systems. We have a couple of dozen for elevators. We still have over 5 dozen for faxes across the city, so that might be an area at some point we may want to take a look at how much of that. So there's a lot of this that I think could use some analysis. It hasn't frankly been, coming in to this organization, looking around, this wasn't rising to the surface until we saw some of the extreme cost changes that have happened. So I think this pushes us a little bit as we start to get a good grip on some of the more urgent issues, that this becomes something that we do need to address and make sure that we're using the right service. In some cases, on these little individual swap outs, it's really not a cost savings. There's some investment in the equipment, and then depending on what connectivity is already there, if it's not sufficient, then you're basically paying for a line to carry the digital if it's not interconnected to the city's network. So a lot of it depends on the specifics of the area. But I am looking forward to being able to share an analysis down the road a little ways that gives us a little better plan for how to handle this. Because this doesn't sit well with me at all, that we have the prices are going double, and if we didn't do something now, it would be more significant. Having this deregulated out of the CalNet contract does put us in a position where I'm not comfortable with, but this is going to be a multi-year kind of thing to deal with. So a little patience on that, but we bought some time, and I think, the prudent thing to do is to be better prepared in 3 years for what we want to do.
Before reading the staff report, I was not even aware of this CalNet program that existed. Now, I understand this is a 3-year contract. If you wanted to come back a year from now, let's say, and swap out some pots for VoIPs, is that something you'd be able to do? Or are we in a situation where we're kind of locked in for this for 3 years?
For the term of the contract, unless we do something outside of the contract and sort of renegotiate that, no, I would see this as a 3-year contract for that quantity.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wish there were more flexibility. Frontier promised that they've afforded us the maximum flexibility that they can in retaining the cost at the level that it's at. But it's not, again, I don't like to be put over a barrel like that, so that's not the position we want to be in. So we need a plan for being in a better spot.
Okay, thank you.
I think based on your report back right now and answering the questions, if you were to do an analysis, and I know you have many other priorities, how long would that analysis take? Like a year? 6 months?
It's 100% dependent on how much resources we brought to bear. Like if we just dropped everything and put an analyst on it or hired a telecom company, 6 months probably, we could probably learn a lot about it in 6 months. But we won't drop everything to do this. So it would be something that I think in about 18 months, we should have enough information so we have a strategy for what to do over the next 18 months. That buys us typically enough time to address, maybe not all of it, but some of the major pieces that are sort of common thread, like the actual analog lines that are used for phones. Probably can come up with a solution for some of that stuff. Some of the things that are sort of hardwired, if you will, into elevators and things like that might be a little trickier. Depends on a lot of other pieces of the puzzle in order to deal with those. Same thing with alarms and that kind of thing.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'm really looking forward to seeing that analysis maybe 18 months from now.
Me too, because I don't like to be in this position, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing there are no public comments, what's the pleasure of this committee on this item?
I'll approve of the recommended action.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, call for the vote.
Committee Member Rodriguez?
Aye.
Committee Member Starr?
Yes.
Chair MacArthur?
Yes.
And this motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rubin. Does any member have any item, future agenda item? No? Okay. And there be no further business on the agenda, and without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.